So, as you can see for yourself, it is quite lovely out. Today is push day, second push day of the week. So, second session of each part of the split. So I do 2 pull sessions a week and then 2 push sessions a week. 2 push, 2 pull. The first one of each is midweek, and I would say that's like a performance session, I guess, where I'm really trying to like hit max reps on my movements. Trying to push for higher weight on my weighted movements, things like that, where I consider that I would show up and really try and perform. Then the second sessions, which are on the weekends, are generally supposed to be a little easier, to offer a little more recovery. Still a lot of good practice in, a lot of good work, but less movements, only do 4 movements, and lighter sets, like keep 1 or 2 reps in the tank sort of thing. And that is just because I really don't feel you can give 100% to a movement group twice a week. Like, you don't have 100% to give that second session. And if you try and give 100% on that second session, then when you get back to the first session of the following week, you're not going to have 100% to give. So if you want to train, the same muscle groups or the same movements twice a week, I do feel like one of those sessions has to be a little lighter. Otherwise, the session that follows suffers from just as much fatigue. So we're going to get outside today because it is a beautiful day. We're going to head down to Boyd Park and we're going to do our push session. So I'm going to take the parallettes, I'm going to take the rings. I don't know if I'll use the rings yet. I never have an entirely set plan in mind of what I'm going to do on my weekend sessions. They're not supposed to be as strict as the weekday sessions. So we'll see what happens. I always do handstand push-ups. I train them light, so I'll probably only do sets of 3. If I'm feeling strong, I might hit a set of 4. If I'm feeling weak, I might only hit sets of 2. We'll see. But I always hit handstand push-ups because that's the main thing I'm trying to practice. I always hit like a planche lean because that's something I'm trying to learn, even though I'm not pushing for the muscle damage on that movement. Just, getting the core activation mostly, and trying to learn the technique of it because it's very difficult. So I don't know what the other 2 movements I'll do. Probably just be like push-ups, dips, easy, simple, rep them out. But I'm going to pack my bag and make sure my water bottle's full, and I'm going to head down to the park and get my sunnies on because it's going to be very bright down there. But I'll see you in a minute. While I'm testing this mic audio, I might do a bit of a warm-up handstand while I'm at it. That was pretty good for a first crack. All right, so we're back here at the park. Oh, we're not back here, but we're here at the park. We have got a bit of Parkway Drive on. We're gonna set up the parallettes, get a few handstand push-ups. I'm just gonna check my width. And if this is not something that you practice, I recommend it, is standardizing the width of your parallettes, right? So I have mine, I know based on my chalk bag how far I want my parallettes to be apart. And it just helps me stay consistent. Sometimes I used to put them down, just eye it up, and they were too close and I could barely even do a handstand on them. Feeling unstable, couldn't really figure out why. Then I started standardizing it and things made a lot more sense. So that's a good tip, especially if you're new. It's easy to put your hands at like different widths all the time and not realize. I've got the little timber parallettes here. I didn't bring the big steel ones because
these are slightly more challenging, and I think the more I can train on them, the better. So we're gonna hit a quick warm-up set, perhaps only 2 handstand push-ups. We don't need too much of a warm-up because it's already very warm today, of course. But you don't go hard right off the bat necessarily. And they felt pretty good straight away. You don't always feel comfortable hitting like a couple right off the bat because it's obviously a very heavy compound movement. There's a lot involved. So when you're not ready for it, it can be very strenuous on the nervous system. So I'll consider that my warm-up set. Give it a few minutes rest, and then I might go for a set of 3. I don't think I'm going to try and push for the 4th on any of my sets. It's just a little too much for the weekend session. I could probably hit 4 because I'm feeling pretty good today. So if I wanted to hit 4 on a set, probably couldn't hit 4 on all the sets, all 3. But I probably could hit it on 2 sets. But I won't. Alright. We're going to go shirt off because it adds power. And we're going to go for a clean set of 3 here. Nice and steady up and down. Decent bit of a wide grip on it. Bit of In Flames playing. One more. A little unsteady on the way up on the last one there. Definitely not complaining, but you can tell that I tend to favour one side when I get unsteady. You start to run out of that power. I feel like I really start to lean to the right and favour the right shoulder to get up on it. It's important to have large rests. Oh, not particularly large, but at least 3 minutes, 3 to 5, when you're doing your big compound lifts. And I'm not really a weightlifter, but I presume the same rule applies. It's like the shorter your rests, the quicker your returns diminish, I guess. It doesn't hurt to go longer. Like if you're feeling tired, then take a 5-minute rest, you know? No one knows better than you. You're the only one in your body feeling what's going on. If you feel like you want the rest, then have it. If you feel like you're sufficiently worked and you don't want to hit another set, then don't, pull the pin. And I do that some days. And it always seems to be dips. When I do heavy dips, like heavy weighted dips on parallel bars, dips on the top of a straight bar, like at the top of a muscle up, feel a lot better for the shoulders. It's because they don't work them as much. Dips on top of a bar really work the triceps a lot more. And your inner chest gets like a bit of work, I guess, but it's really mostly tricep work. Whereas dips on parallel bars, or like what you'd see at the gym, like the V-bar, they can be very heavy on the front of the shoulders here. And start to feel that sort of pain in the shoulders, pull the pin. Like, don't keep training. Don't keep training dips, at least, anyway, And that goes for any movement. If you're feeling pain in your movement, it's either too heavy, it's too much, or you're doing the wrong movement. You need to build up to that movement. And that is literally a golden rule, The golden rule, safe lift every lift. There's no getting around that. You can't cheat that system. I'm actually going to go for the 4th here. Okay. So, while I'm resting here, I might go ahead and hang up the rings. And sometimes that's easier said than done. This is twisted. Nah, fixed it. So, I'll give you one tip. And this is another bit of wisdom, that a lesson that luckily I've not learnt the hard way yet. Whenever you hang your rings up on something, if it's a tree branch or a basketball hoop, just make yourself aware and give it a real test, right? Before you go and hit pull-ups or something on it. Like, just give it a bounce and make sure it's not actually gonna fall over. Because the last thing you wanna do is go up there like hitting a muscle up, and as you're pulling up, the thing just collapses and comes down on top of you. And then what? You're just dead. So, always test it. Always test it when you're aware. Make yourself aware that you're testing it, look up at it, be aware of its movements as you're testing it, and if it looks like it's unsteady, just get the fuck out of there, you know? I honestly couldn't care less about you breaking the public basketball hoop, but I do not want you to break your neck hanging your rings up on a basketball hoop because you saw me do it safely. So, safe lift, every lift. Check your supports. I think we'll get 3. Oh! We won't get 3. We will. Sometimes when you lose it, you feel like you've got the strength in you. It's worth getting back up there. Sometimes it's not. Yeah, okay. So next up, we're just gonna hit some planche leans. And they're pretty rough. It's really a movement where it depends how much you push yourself in it. Like, you can do a planche lean that's basically like sitting at the top of a push-up. It's just a plank, right? Or you can do a planche lean where you're actually finding the limits of your muscles and reaching that point of tension and trying to hold there. So it's hard to... It sounds weird because it looks like a really simple movement, but it's hard to learn. It's like with any new movement, you just don't feel it. Like the technique with muscle ups, it took me so long to understand the technique. I learned them on the rings many years ago. Then when I tried to learn them on bars, I felt like I should be strong enough to do it, but I couldn't. I didn't have the technique. It's a completely different technique. And it wasn't until, you know, you actually do the progressions, you start to feel the positions and the technique for it. And it's the same with planches for me at the moment. Like when I started doing planche leans, I didn't know what I was doing. It was barely even worth doing the planche leans that I was doing, because I didn't understand where my body should be, where I should be applying that tension, and how to actually push for progress. I didn't know how to feel that movement out. And it's still very much like that for me with levers as well. But now I do feel out my planche leans. And I think that I've got the right technique now to sort of work on them at least. Oh, what's going on there, dude? Yeah, okay. Let's see how we go. That was better than I was expecting. We'll hit the planche lean now. The 90-degree hold is kind of a similar tension. So I do feel like it's, even though it's not really planche work, I do feel like it helps progress towards planche. And that's sort of just overloading the same muscles involved, even if it's not the same technique. You know, it's the same theory as like hitting weighted pull-ups to try and learn your muscle-ups. It's not the technique of a muscle-up, but the same muscles are involved, and you're overloading it to get it used to the extra, I guess, the extra weight. Some of these kids on the cricket pitch over there keep turning around to look at what I'm doing because they're interested. The coach is looking at them like, boys, watch the game. You're on the outfield, not the bench. Ooh, they still feel quite rough. Make sure that the ratchets, like the metal bits on your straps, are nice and high. You don't want them rubbing against your arms. The straps themselves are always going to rub, and you'll get like red marks. You can wear long sleeves if it bothers you. You can just get used to it if it doesn't bother you. But you do not want the metal clips rubbing on you because they'll actually like hurt. So get them out of the way. If you can get your tassels out of the way as well, I'll show you a trick. So any tradesman worth his dollar will know this trick. You basically roll up your strap. When you get towards the end, make sure there's a bit left. Grab the rest of it, push it through the middle of the roll, and then just flip it out. Pull the roll through the loop that's just been made. There you go. Perfect tie up every time. Nice and out of the way. So we're gonna run some Bulgarians. I like to get the height so that when I'm actually in the dip, my feet are not gonna come anywhere near the ground. I don't like having to compromise my body position for the height of the rings, of the movement. So we're gonna muscle up into it because they are up quite high to get that depth. But it's not really about the muscle up. I do it nice and clean because I would just not do it dirty. I would never do a dirty muscle up. I'm better than that. But it's not about the muscle up. Knock the watch off. Hit maybe 8 of these dips. If we're feeling nice and strong, we can go 10. But don't push for it. Start in the L sit. Nice and easy. Drop the legs. Nice and deep on these dips. So that was 10 in the end. Yeah, this is really what it's all about. Having authentic experiences. And I know it just seems like some dickhead with his shirt off at the park having a workout. But, you know, this is it for me. This is my element. Doing what I love in a beautiful environment, getting some vitamin D. When you're getting into that depth, especially on a ring dip, but parallel bar dips as well, when you get to that low depth, it's just so straining on the fronts of the shoulders here. And if you're really feeling that, don't push that, you know? I've never injured myself doing dips, but I've heard about people injuring themselves doing dips because it's easy to overload as well. Like, how many people do you see at the gym throwing 20 kilos plus on a dip? So many people. It's like the movement that you see weighted most, I would think, for sure. It's very popular weighted movement, the weighted dip. I guess that's like, it's kind of a bit of a short range of motion, and it is a big compound movement, but I feel like it spreads it's a short range of motion, and it spreads the weight fairly evenly across different muscles, like tricep, like front shoulders here, chest as well. I'm not really good with the muscle groups, but I feel like it spreads the weight fairly evenly. So it is easy to start to overload, but when you are very overloaded on a dip, you start to favor like the muscles that are stronger, and all of a sudden you're not spreading the weight so evenly, you know? If one muscle starts to struggle over the others and you're not spreading the weight evenly, all of a sudden you're not as strong as you were on the dip when you were evenly spreading it across your muscles. So people will push, you know, thinking, I know I can do these dips. I've done these heavy dips for sets of 8 before. They'll start to feel, and it's always a shoulder, they'll start to feel it in the shoulder, and they'll go, no, I know I can do 8 reps. Maybe they're on their 5th. And it's like, all right, bang, done. That's it. You know, months off, see the physio, and your life's hell until you can be back at the gym, right? So remember, I know I keep saying this, but safe lift every lift. It's the most important thing. Words to absolutely live by. Have a safe lift every lift. Only 8 on that set because I was feeling that in the shoulder, and I'm not pushing for 10. Not pushing for 10 if I feel it straining. Almost out of water. It's one thing you notice training outdoors on a day like this. The water does not seem to go half as far as it does at the gym. I might even just hit 6 on this last set, honestly. Because I've been training fairly hard for what should have been a light day. I did 4 sets of handstand push-ups, 2, 3, 4, then another set of 3, where I fell on the last 2. But I still got the full range of motion. So the work still counts, even if the rep itself doesn't. When I do push-ups on these, I like to put them on an angle because that's just where it's most comfortable for me. a little bit wide and on an angle. Makes for a really comfortable push-up for me personally. You should do whatever is most comfortable for you. That might sound like a simple statement and not a hard concept to grasp. It's not really, but until you've tried different grips, you won't realize what's most comfortable for you. When you're doing something like a push-up, this is work. You're trying to work your muscles with this. This is not so much practicing technique for me. This is just putting in the work. So it doesn't matter to me where my grip is, because I'm not practicing my grip. I'm not trying to practice having a certain grip or a certain technique. I'm just trying to work my muscles. So finding whatever's most comfortable gives me the freedom to push my muscles further than if I'm in an uncomfortable grip. It's like training on the rings versus the bar when you're talking about like a supinated or a neutral grip. Supinated grip on a bar feels really, really poor for me. My wrists struggle to turn and it feels very uncomfortable. I very rarely do them. I usually use a neutral grip, or I do them on the rings where I don't have to go full supinated. I can have them at a bit of an angle. And that's just because it's more comfortable. Whatever's most comfortable for you is what you're going to get the most out of. And if it's not a movement where you're going for a specific technique, if it's a movement where you're just training your muscles, it's just a tool to train your muscles, then just do it however's comfortable. You know, perfect form is like kind of a bit of a myth. And that's not to say you shouldn't practice good form, but good form is different for different people on different movements. You know, like you see people do muscle ups on bars, and it's a really good example. There are so many different, and the differences are quite intricate, but there are so many different ways you can do muscle ups on bars. And you see two people do muscle ups on a bar, and they can look so wildly different in the technique that's used. But at the end of the day, they're both a muscle up on the bar. They're both valid. Neither you would criticize, but they can look wildly different. I'll give you a hot tip. If you don't listen to Slipknot, you're not training hard enough. And it really is that simple. While I'm resting, I might as well be taking these down. I don't want to be out here in the sun any longer than I really have to. Even though it is beautiful. So, as the session comes to an end here, I might do one or two more handstands on flat, just for the practice. Probably won't be too long. But then we're going to pull the pin, we're going to call it a day. We'll see if we hit another couple handstands here. We'll get that. For sure. Oh, perhaps not. One more try. Alright. Get that. Oh, yeah, it's way too hard now. Way too hard now. But that's all right. We'll have the chalk up and we'll go one more. So if you didn't know, chalk up gives you bonus power. Absolutely a placebo, but the placebo chalk up has real power. Now that I've chalked up, there's no doubt in anyone's mind I'm gonna hit this handstand. I'm gonna float up into it, float like a butterfly. Just like magic. All right, let's hit the last set of push-ups and let's go home. Only 10, because I'm tired.